She was always the one in the lab more than we were, which is kind of hard to do.
She thinks long and hard before she speaks, but when she speaks and when she iterates an idea, it's brilliant.
Rachel has always been a really thoughtful person and is so observant of the world around her.
She was always really, really helpful to me as an underclassman, and she was always in here working on the labs and was really helpful with sharing her knowledge, which I really appreciated.
Rachel was working on a final project, a senior thesis, for her major in geology, and she was working pretty late, and she wasn't feeling well. She felt dizzy, so she laid down. She laid down on the ground. She just didn't feel well. Some other geology students that were in Olin Rice at the time found her.
She could only get a few words out at a time. So.
She wasn't sure at all about what had happened. Because I saw her on the floor, I thought that maybe she had fallen and hit her head. And that, again, tipped us off that there was something that was probably pretty wrong, pretty serious, that we needed to get help with.
And then Allison called me, and I actually knew Allison from another course, so she knew that I was on campus. She just didn't look like she was really there mentally. She was just sort of had a blank look and looked very, very weak and kind of confused. And so it was really, really very scary. The EMTs were asking me different questions. I just said, she doesn't do drugs. She wasn't on any medication that I knew of. There's really nothing I could point to. So I just didn't know what was going on at all. They wheeled her out, and I remember them asking her some questions because they wanted to know cognitively what was going on. And it was really tough because she just didn't know. And it was difficult. What month is it? Or who's the president? And it was really difficult to see her in that kind of state. It was actually in the ambulance that they mentioned it could be a stroke. And they said, let's put a stroke warning out to Regents so that when she gets there, they'll have things ready. And that was really scary to hear that because I didn't think that people that young had strokes. And I didn't know that she would ever get better. And that was really scary. And I think that's what I was thinking about most, was is she ever going to be back to the old Rachel? And is this something that will just change her life forever, or is she even going to survive?
It's very important that she got to the hospital as quick as she did. The general saying when you talk about stroke is that time is brain, and the likelihood of us having a positive outcome is directly related to how quickly we get to the patient. The CT angiogram and the subsequent angiogram before intervention confirmed that the main artery to the right side of her brain was completely blocked by a clot, and the implication of that would be that if we did not reopen that vessel in a very timely fashion, that the brain downstream from that blockage would die and be irreversibly damaged.
It's hard in a few moments to prepare yourself for that outcome. But you have to, because that could be the result. That was hard. That was my first thought, was we aren't going to get our daughter back. It will be somebody different.
In Rachel's case, we went up with the microcatheter, or tiny catheter, gave the TPA directly into the clot, and then in addition we used this other larger catheter to suck the clot out of the vessel.
Rachel started shaking, and we thought, Rachel, are you cold or something? And I think that it was more that she was really scared, and really understood sort of how uncertain things were going to be from that point on.
I couldn't get through the conversation without crying because it was really hitting me there that Rachel was seriously ill, and what was I going to do? How was this going to affect that relationship and maybe even cost her life? And I really didn't want to deal with that, and it just wells up.
I am very honored to introduce to all of you Ms. Rachel Murray.
Thank you so much. Such a warm welcome. I'm glad to be here today at this event. We have an opportunity to participate in this event. It seems strange to say that I'm glad to be here, but I'm sort of a glass half full type of person. I owe my presence here today to the many people who helped me and played a role in my recovery. And to them, I am very grateful. I'm grateful to the people out there who are like you, who support medical research, technological advancements, and the American Heart Association.